This is Agriculture Today, and I'm Shelby Varner with the K-State Radio Network. Starting today's show is David Schemm, State Executive Director of the Kansas Farm Service Agency, as he explains the Supplemental Disaster Relief Program and other FSA programs with upcoming deadlines. Rich Llewelyn, K-State Extension Assistant, continues the show as he lists upcoming agricultural economic events. He mentions a grain marketing webinar, the Risk and Profit Conference, and the Ag Lenders Conference. Ending the show is the Beef Cattle Institute's Brad White, Bob Larson, and Dustin Pendell as they discuss balancing input costs and production. That and more is coming up ahead. You're tuned in to Agriculture Today, and we start our Wednesday show talking with the State Executive Director of the Kansas Farm Service Agency, David Schemm. David, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Shelby.
David, talking about a few different programs with upcoming deadlines, and the first program, however, that's just getting kicked off recently, the Supplemental Disaster Relief Program, also commonly referred to as SDRP sometimes. What's that program?
That's SDRP, and Shelby, I think you know and listeners know that we love our acronyms and our how is it often worded alphabet soup. So yes, the Supplemental Disaster Relief Program was a program that was passed by Congress this last year to help the disaster-affected areas across this country. And specifically, there was some of it that's already rolled out through some of those dollars and programs were rolled out through the livestock disaster area for some of those dollars. The current one that we have just opened up, this SDRP, or Supplemental Disaster Relief Program, is open now, and producers should be receiving pre-filled applications for qualifying, but it's targeted much more towards our row crop producers out there. And basically what it is, Shelby, is it's losses that they have suffered from production losses, or it could be quality losses in 23 and 24 years, the 2023 and 2024 years. So again, producers should have received application in the email or in the mail already and be able to be looking over. If they have not, definitely would encourage them to go into the county offices and inquire.
What are some of those different disasters that qualify for this program?
No, I'm glad you asked that. Yeah, so to what was considered natural disasters, there was some parameters put in there by Congress there, and those disasters were such things as wildfires, hurricanes, floods, derechos, excessive heat, tornadoes, winter storms, freeze, excessive moisture, drought, excessive heat. So it was a lot of those things there. And what USDA did, what FSA did was worked in conjunction with RMA and looked at losses that producers sustained during those years. And that's what they utilized for pre-filling those forms for our producers and sending them out for those qualifying losses. The one thing I really want to make sure I emphasize to all of our producers out there is that they can fill out more than one loss on those forms that they bring into us and they get from us. But they, obviously to qualify for the program, they need to be a qualifying loss. And Shelby, the other thing is that their loss that they necessarily reported to RMA or the crop insurance agents may not necessarily exactly correlate with ours. One of the examples I would simply use is that if a producer had his corn crop out there and the hail came in there and, he suffered a lot of hail on that corn, had a 70% loss, he filed that claim with his crop insurance provider, and that was his reason for loss. And let's say either prior to that or right after that, he had a week of 100-degree temperatures and 30-mile-an-hour wind, that would still be a qualifying loss for him, one, either through if his county became eligible through drought, it was qualified as a drought county, or through excessive heat, just devastated that crop. So that's where in a situation where from an FSA standpoint, we're looking at it and saying, hey, this is a qualifying loss. This crop suffered excessive heat or drought. And RMA said, well, the producer reported hail to us. And we're okay with that. They don't have to exactly match.
If a hailstorm, however, completely decimates a field, a little different?
It can be a little bit different in those situations. Again, what we got to look on is the nuances, and that's why we've instructed our county committee, kind of given out there to give them guidelines. They're going to be reviewing those in those situations. If a hailstorm totally wipes out that crop out there, it still could be eligible because maybe that excess of heat or drought hit that crop before the hailstorm came along. If it hit it afterwards, well, then again, that's something that county committees out there are going to be playing a vital role for us to make sure that they're quantifying where the loss was for the producer.
If someone who's received one of these pre-filled applications has questions, what should they do?
Absolutely. Bring it into our county offices, and we'll kind of walk them through it, walk everything through this. This is kind of one of those programs that's kind of two different agencies working on it, utilizing RMA data with FSA, us trying to implement the program there. But we should be able to answer your questions, and if we can't answer your questions, know that we will be working on getting answers to it.
How can farmers learn what they'll get back from this program?
So farmers, that's part of that pre-filled application. When they go in there and see that, they should see the amount they should receive. There's several different calculations on the form when they get in there, finish signing it. So that's why we do have to have them come in, sign that form there. And again, there's a lot of things on that form. Some are a little bit different than some forms that producers have seen in the past, and that's asking that county office is going to be key for them.
David, you mentioned the county committees a few times, and are those nominations for county committees currently open?
That is exactly right, Shelby. County committee nominations are open right now. They're open until August 1st here. And as I just got done mentioning, county committees definitely play a key role for us, and not just working with the employees there in our counties, but also with making sure that program delivery is effective and what it's intended for. So definitely, if our producers out there are interested, or that they have a neighbor that's interested, definitely encourage them to get in there, get the nomination form filled out and submitted.
For someone who's maybe interested, what does the time commitment look like?
It's something that obviously it can vary a lot. When we do have new programs like this Supplemental Disaster Relief Program, it can elevate that commitment that they have time there. A lot of our county committees will try to get together maybe once or every other month, or at least once a month, depending upon things that are going on and responsibilities they have. The one thing that I want to let them know is that we realize their time is valuable, and so we try to make sure that we recompense them for their travel and their time that they spend up there at the office. So it's maybe not much of a thank you, but at least it's a small thank you to be able to try to cover some of their expenses.
And that county committee nomination deadline, August 1st, and a couple weeks after that, August 15th, another deadline coming up.
Yes, absolutely on that. So, again, we talked earlier, county offices are super busy right now, a lot of things going on, but they're all working hard and fast. So typically we have our acreage reporting deadline on July 15th, and that's when producers need to be coming into the offices, reporting their planted acres for the year. Well, it seems like Kansas has had just one of those years between, a kind of what I would say a delayed or maybe extended wheat harvest, rain coming through, producers trying to get fields harvested, planted, everything like that. And we've kind of recognized the challenges out there that producers are having getting into the offices. Still definitely encourage producers, get out there, get your acreage reporting in, getting to the county offices. But what the administrator has done and allowed us to do is for those producers, reach out to your county office, but we are waiving that late file penalty fee that typically we would apply towards the producer and they would have to pay, plus any of those crops that he would report past the July 15th date, but before August 15th, we will classify as a, timely filed crop. So trying to do those little things definitely to help those producers out there that just kind of a little bit more of, I would say, extraordinary year with all the circumstances. So August 15th would definitely be that deadline for that late file waiver. So if they haven't gotten in there on that acreage report, please get in there.
Is that just for Kansas?
So that was actually for nationwide. That obviously there was situations with some flooding in Iowa and everything like that. That all the SEDs, we had discussions with the administrator, simply saying, "Hey, we've got a lot of dynamics going on here. with rain. Producers still out in the field trying to plant. A lot of programs going on right now. And so trying to, again, administrator, Mr. Beam, is a farmer himself, and he realizes the challenges out there that everybody faces.
And another program with an upcoming deadline, Grassland CRP.
Yep, Grassland CRP. So obviously we've just gotten done with the general sign-up of CRP. Grassland CRP was opened up. So again, Grassland CRP is one of those neat programs in the aspect. It's kind of that working lands conservation program. So allows producers to take grassland, areas like that, and put it into CRP, still having the opportunity to graze it or harvest forages off of it. So again, trying to work with producers to preserve those vital resources, sensitive resources that we have out there. So that program is opened up. That deadline to sign up for that, again, is that August 8th deadline there. So, again, come into our county office. They are going to be busy. If you haven't figured that out already, ask them on the Grassland CRP if you've got some acres that you want to get enrolled into that.
If people want to find that nomination form for county committee nominations or have other questions about programs from the Farm Service Agency, how can they get those taken care of?
All they need to do is simply go up to our county office and come in that door, and our program analysts out there, our people in those offices, will be more than willing to help them or get them where they need to get help and get their answers, get their questions answered. So absolutely, Shelby, come into our county office, reach out, give them a call. I think almost all of our producers have good relationships with all of the people in our county offices.
David, I appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Thank you, Shelby.
That was State Executive Director of the Kansas Farm Service Agency, David Schemm. We're cutting to a short break now on Agriculture Today, but stick around because we have more for you up ahead. You're tuned in to Agriculture Today, and we continue our show by discussing some upcoming agricultural economics events with K-State Extension Assistant Rich Llewelyn. Rich, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Rich, the first event that's coming up in just a week, the Winning the Game Grain Marketing Webinar, and what is that one?
Well, that's Dan O'Brien from K-State, and also he's our grain marketing specialist out in Colby, and also Mark Nelson, who's with Kansas Farm Bureau. And they've had a series of these each month. This is the July edition, and they'll be looking at the grain markets, kind of what's going on with the current situation, and also be looking at some pricing opportunities for the wheat that's just been harvested, as well as for the fall crops looking ahead there. So that'll be happening on Wednesday, July 30th.
If people are interested in attending that webinar, how do they go about doing that?
The AgManager.info website has the registration on the page for that, and they can click on that. It's free, but we do require folks to register for it so they can get the link. And so the AgManager.info website would be the place to go to.
And as it's happening on July 30th, when in the day is it taking place?
It's at noon on Wednesdays, so it'll be for about an hour. They generally try to hold it to the lunch hour so folks can listen to it over lunch and pick up on what's going on and then get back to what they're doing.
And Rich, the big conference coming up for agricultural economics, the Risk and Profit Conference, and what's on the schedule for this year?
Well, we have quite a bit going on. We have 24 breakout sessions to go along with 3 general sessions on that. And so this is kind of our centerpiece conference for our teaching and research faculty who have the opportunity to present some of their research. It's also our extension faculty with some of the things they're doing throughout the year. But our keynote speaker on Thursday will be Roger Cryan. He's the former chief economist for the American Farm Bureau Federation, and so he'll be here just discussing some of the things going on in the markets, both livestock and crops, and then some policy things that he's been involved with.
And what value do you see that bringing to attendees for Risk and Profit?
Well, given the uncertainty that we have going on in the markets as well as policy-wise, I think this will be helpful just in understanding some of the things going on nationally. We had the recent legislation that just passed, and so he'll be discussing that just a little bit. We also have some other sessions that will be getting into the weeds on some of those things, but just also looking at overall markets and movement and some of the trade issues.
Who are the other two general sessions?
We have the market outlook on Friday morning, and that will be both grains and livestock. Dan O'Brien, our grain marketing specialist, will do the grains, and then Brian Coffey will be handling the livestock and cattle market outlook. And the last one there, right before lunch on Friday, will be the Kansas producer. We've had this segment for about 15 years now. And so this year we have a featured producer from Emporia, Kansas. It's Kevin Carr and his wife Sandy. They have some unique things they've been doing with hogs as well as cover crops and no-till. So their diverse cropping and hay operation has kind of become the centerpiece of their farm. And they've also had some transition going on with one of their sons moving back to take part in the operation. So just looking at some of the things they've been doing and are doing looking ahead.
What are a few of the different breakout sessions?
We have 24 this year, which is a little more than normal, and we also have 8 sessions during the conference for people to attend, so they'll be able to attend a few more than what they have in the past. I'd break it down into 3 primary areas. We have policy things going on with a general ag policy update, as well as macroeconomic implications for agriculture. Brian Brigham is a professor who used to work at the Federal Reserve in Kansas City, and he'll be part of that. We also have the grains and livestock markets. This is focused a little more on the grain side of things, but we'll also have quite a bit with the livestock markets as well. And then some of the things going on with some of the tariffs and trade and the regulations, as well as an update on income tax issues, particularly those that were addressed in the recent legislation.
Who is this event for?
Primarily farmers and producers, but also ag lenders who are kind of wanting to understand what the situation is. We also have quite a few crop insurance agents that attend, as well as agribusiness people and other ag stakeholders. So it's pretty wide in its application. It's a very applied conference, so a lot of this research that's going on that will be presented is also very applied and useful for folks on the farm or, in the banking industry or something.
During the sessions, is there usually some time for some questions and answers?
Yeah, we have it set so that the main sessions will be about an hour each, but we'll have time about 15 minutes or more for questions on that. And then each of the breakout sessions is 50 minutes, and we encourage the speakers to take about 35 minutes, no more than 40, so that we do have some time for people to interact and engage. We also have some time outside of the sessions where folks can go ahead and find some of the speakers and talk to them directly. And we'll have a social in the evening that'll allow quite a bit of that on Thursday evening.
When is Risk and Profit taking place?
It's August 21st and 22nd. That's a Thursday and Friday, so it's before classes start at K-State. So it's coming up here in about a month.
What is registration and how can it be done?
The registration is online, or you can get the brochure from AgManager.info and send in a check. And we'll take registrations right up until the time of the conference. We've been able to lower the price just a little bit from what it was in previous years. So it's $215 for both days, or $175 for either day, Thursday or Friday. And so that's nice to be able to make it a little more affordable than it had been. We also have a hotel block at the Holiday Inn across the street if folks need to stay overnight.
Are those registration fees an early bird price?
That is, it will go up $25 after August 15th, but that's up to pretty close before the conference. So it will go up just a couple days before the conference, but we'd love to have folks join us, and hopefully they'll be able to get in before that price goes up.
And just something we want to mention, as Risk and Profit is on campus, what does parking look like?
For the parking, we have some spots at the Alumni Center, and you can park there with no permits or anything. And then if you need to park over in the parking garage east of the Alumni Center or in the lot west of the old stadium north of the church, we have permits we've obtained for that. And so you'll need to just take a picture of your license plate or write it down, bring it in to us, and we'll take care of it from there.
And Rich, one more event a little bit further down in the calendar, but wanting to mention Ag Lenders Conference. What is this one?
That's a couple of meetings that we have, one in Garden City and one in Manhattan. It's the end of September on the 30th and then the 1st of October. So Garden City is September 30th. It's at the Clarion Inn there. And this is a one-day conference, as the name implies, primarily for ag lenders. But also we have other people like crop insurance agents and farmers who would attend that as well. And so that would involve the outlooks, again, the beef cattle market outlook as well as grain market outlook. We also have some things on land rental rates that Greg Eimendal will be doing. Again, like the other one, we have the macroeconomy and interest rates session because there's a lot of interest in that right now. And then some farm and ranch succession planning. Ashley Westerhold is our specialist handling that across the state. And she's got some updates on what's been going on and things for people to consider with that. The final thing on that would be the ag policy update and also looking at some of the indicators of farm financial stress. We're starting to see that a little more. There have been some increases in bankruptcies nationwide for farm bankruptcies. And so we're kind of gearing up to do some further education and just have some things out there that would help with financial stress.
If people are interested in this conference but can't be in Garden City on September 30th or on October 1st be in Manhattan, is there another option?
We do have a live online option. We'll be streaming the meeting on October 1st from Manhattan. So if someone can't actually make it to the meeting, they could sign up for that. And we'd send the link and they'd be able to get online during the day. We'll also have the sessions recorded and post those recordings after the conference for those who signed up for it.
Rich, what is the cost of registration?
That one is $120 for the meeting, and that would include the meal and the materials. For the online version, it's $40, and so those would both go up a little bit. It'd go up $15 to $135 after the deadline of September 25th, and up to $50 for the online meeting.
And as always, just wanting to put a reminder, if people want to find more information about these events or other events, where can they do that?
The AgManager.info website has all of the information on these, or my email is rvl@ksu.edu, and they could send an email, and I'd get back to them and let them know what they need to know.
Rich, I appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
It was good to be here. Thanks.
That was K-State Extension Assistant Rich Llewelyn. The upcoming K-State Agricultural Economics events are Winning the Game Grain Marketing Webinar taking place on July 30th, the Risk and Profit Conference on August 21st and 22nd, and the Ag Lenders Conference on September 30th in Garden City and on October 1st in Manhattan, Kansas, and online. As he mentioned, you can find more information about all these events by going online to AgManager.info. We're cutting to a short break now, but we'll be right back.
You're tuned in to Agriculture Today. I'm Madeline Drake, in for Shelby Varner. And we continue our show with K-State's Brad White, Bob Larson, and Dustin Pendell on the Beef Cattle Institute's Cattle Chat podcast.
Records. We don't often talk about that in mid-summer, but it's time to think about what are the most important records that I should keep relative to I'm coming up on weaning, I've got other things that I care about, and what are some of the things that I should be thinking about tracking? And Dustin, I'm going to go to you first.
So I guess just one, if you're thinking about weaning, I guess weaning weight would be a good one. Just first thing pops into my head.
Yeah, there's records a lot of times as a veterinarian. I'm mostly involved with production records. So percent of cows that are pregnant, weaning weights, percent death loss, percent sickness, those types of things. And I think those are really important. For one thing, to kind of just monitor year over year, make sure that we're showing some improvement, or if we're already doing pretty well, to at least maintain that, and looking for areas where maybe some problems are starting to creep up before we really recognize it.
So knowing that my production side is also tied to my expense side, and expenses have been higher, and I've got to maintain the balance between those expenses and the amount of production that I have. I can't always target both decreasing expenses and increasing production, and production in this case being weaning weight. Which of those levers is maybe most important for me to pull? And Dustin, again, I'm going to turn to you first. Should I focus on decreasing cost or increasing production?
I guess every operation is going to be a little different. It's a function of what your goals are, your objectives. Are you looking, what kind of situation pasture-wise, forage? Are you in a drought? You always got to be conscious of your expenses, but at the same time, look at what are the current prices.
Yeah.
If you're weaning your calf, you're going to be selling them. What are those current prices? Are they record highs? How much is it going to cost to put on that additional weight versus what's the trade-off for that price that you're going to receive? And those are all things that you want to be thinking about. So I don't know there's a straight cut answer because every operation is just going to be a little different in kind of their approach, their objectives, what resources they have, et cetera.
The way I kind of look at it is I think there's a base level of production that is absolutely essential, that if you're below a certain percent pregnant, if you're above a certain death loss, it's just very unlikely, no matter what your costs are, that it's going to be a profitable enterprise. That being said, then once I'm working with a client that has pretty decent percent pregnant and pretty decent weaning weights and weaning percentages, those types of things, then I think it gets a little bit harder as you move. So from average to poor up to good, it's like, yeah, more production is probably a good idea. Once you get to pretty decent production, then I think you really do have to kind of get a sharper pencil and look at the cost benefit. And so for some clients, I feel pretty confident, even though I don't know all their costs. Their production is low enough. We need to get that up there. But then other clients, I'm a little more hesitant to make a lot of recommendations until I understand, more about, well, what are your labor constraints? What are the local opportunities for low cost inputs? And those types of questions. It becomes a lot more complicated once you get to pretty good production.
So before you figure out which lever you need to pull, you need to understand, where is my opportunity for gain?
Or is it balancing any more production with the additional cost?
And you're describing point of diminishing returns, right?
Yeah, I've got low production. I probably need to get that up.
Yeah. So where is my biggest problem, or conversely opportunity?
And if you're thinking you've got not just the production side, you also need to take a deep dive into your cost too. If you've got the production, you're already up at the, when you say the decent or the pretty good, you better have a good deep dive into the expenses on where are your expenses.
Because there might be some expenses that aren't giving you much benefit, whereas other expenses are giving you a lot of benefit. So, one of the ones that I always get a little bit concerned about is we need enough nutritional inputs to maintain good body condition. So I hate to see that drop too far. At the other hand, though, if body condition is no problem throughout the year, then additional inputs on nutritional inputs may not be warranted.
But at the end of the day, we're making a base assumption that we're keeping records. We've got the data. So it all comes back to one of your very first questions is, are you collecting the right data?
So you have to be sure you've got enough there to be able to identify your opportunities.
Once again, that was part of the Beef Cattle Institute's Cattle Chat podcast with Brad White, Bob Larson, and Dustin Pendell. That's all we have for you today on Agriculture Today, but we'll be back with more for you tomorrow.